Dynamite Download.
Welcome to Dynamite Download, your source for positive coverage of all elite wrestling.
This is what pro wrestling's supposed to feel like.
Oh, you guys, positive energy.
I think that created a little moment in itself.
You're saying I have a better record than Kenny Omega and Samoa Joe, and now I'm going to have to wrestle them.
I've never seen someone able to break down like wrestling like he does.
No Mariah May,
my real story does connect with a lot of people.
That you need to be careful in the locker room.
I definitely think that women's wrestling has been elevated.
And with the loss of Brody, I feel like we were just kind of a little bit directionless.
I was like deep diving into like cults.
Raw horse.
Raw horse?
Oh my god!
Amazing. I had to smack him around a few times to fully gain his respect.
You said that in front of the voice of a generation?
Awesome.
This podcast is quite frankly the dribbling shit, if I'm being quite honest.
They spread positivity about AEW.
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
What's up, everyone? Don't adjust your headsets. It is Brent and SPD holding down Dynamite Download episode 176. Wishing best wishes to Mind Runner in recovery. He is out this week and we should be back in the saddle very soon. But thank you so much for joining me and being my co-host tonight. Brent, how's it going on your side of town?
It's going pretty good, man. I can't complain.
Great, man. Thank you so much, everyone in the chat. Welcome to Dynamite Download episode 176. Awesome show last night. Honestly, like when I was seeing some of the tweets of weather, I was like, what? There's weather going on? Because I was down in South Carolina where I'm at right now. I was by the pool reading, and I got sunburned yesterday. And then when I was seeing Tony Khan saying about a blizzard, I'd look up on my Weather Channel app. I'm like, what is going on with this? So I couldn't believe that there was a blizzard in Nebraska or Omaha. And man, the fans last night, I mean, to me, they showed up. They were just outstanding. Like, the smaller venues that we're seeing, I'll show this picture here. It's pretty cool of the blizzard. Like all this snow, I'm like, I thought we were officially in spring. We were gonna have sunshine and flowers and everything blooming, but throwing another curveball AEW's way, and they delivered last night. I think it was a fantastic show. I saw some rating. It was one of the highest rated Dynamites overall from like card and matches and storytelling since 2024. I forget what the month it was, but I saw a tweet when I was just there. But overall, man, what did you think of the show before we talk about our updated draft standings?
Oh man, I like you just said it. I mean, the crowd was nuts. I mean, like, I got so excited just because, everyone was, you knew it right off the bat. Like, it was just like they were exploding. It's like they never saw wrestling before in their lives. It was awesome. The matches I thought were insane. They were so good. Like, I felt like this was pay-per-view quality lineup. And like this would have been like, I kept thinking this was the go-home show. It was so good. Geez, oh man. Like, I give it a 9 out of 10. And the only reason why it's not a full 10 is because Thunder Rosa was not on the show.
Yeah, she was on Collision, had a great show in Collision. It was Mind Runner's top performer of the night. She did show up in Collision for a nice battle with Megan Bayne, which we'll definitely dive deep into the women's division on that. And I agree, and I was a little nervous when they put out that little weather thing. I'm like, ooh, are they going to have kind of a skeleton crew show? But no, in terms of both wrestlers and the audience. But I don't remember a show or an audience chanting "This is awesome" at every single match on the card. And they chanted "This is awesome" every single match, because after the first two, I was like noticing this, and then I was like, the trend. Everyone got that chant, and that was pretty cool. And I think that really, it's like the sixth man, as some say in basketball or other one. The home field advantage really plays effect into us at home, and the wrestlers, I'm sure, are just extra motivated. And props to Omaha for really delivering an outstanding show last night. And I'm curious to see how it transpires on Collision, the double Collision, the Slam Dunk Saturday and Sunday night, because they taped that after Dynamite for sure. But before we get into the card, let's check in with our most recent standings of where we're at the our draft season 5.
We bring the boom. That's what we do. We bring the boom. We bring the boom to you. We bring the boom. We bring the boom to everyone. We bring the boom. Your favorite father and son.
Every afternoon on your FYP.
We'll be bringing the boom around 3:15.
We bring the boom so loud the whole earth shakes.
With double chunk chocolate cookies.
I cut it a little bit short just because I think it's funny. It's a funny gimmick minded, but this is the standings. And I was going through the spreadsheet that Mind has so meticulously made. You and me, Brent, I know I have a pretty comfortable position where I'm at, but you and I have not got any points since the pay-per-view. And so that just goes to show of like our wrestlers were showcased on the pay-per-view and they haven't been on the winning side of things since that. Hopefully that will change over the next few weeks, but Steven's back on top right there after SPD winning that bingo card. But man, it's a battle in the middle of the pack right now, and anything can happen because Collision is stacked. I think there's possible 8 or 10 points available on Collision. So this is where we're at, and it's still a lot of time, still 2 months away. So you won't be lonely down there at the bottom for long, Brent. I know that. Especially the way they're booking some stuff with the women's division.
Geez, I think at one point I was like second or third when we first started. I mean, that would, but yeah, I mean, like you said, once seems like newer storylines are coming and people are moving in and out. So,
right.
But this is pretty wild, man.
I know it is, and anything can happen. I'm pumped for it. I love the draft. It makes me root for my team more, even though I'm just rooting for a good show. At the end of the day, it's like, oh well, I guess if my guy or gal lost, like I'm still gonna win because it's a great wrestling match. But secretly, I want my points on my team, But last night's show, 5 matches. And all 5, like I mentioned, got the "This is awesome" chant. And top to bottom, I was a little surprised that they put that street fight for the world title, not the main event, but I think it made sense as the card played out. And I love the flow, the ebb and flow of this show tonight. 2 women's matches spaced evenly and perfectly placed, in my opinion. But kicking off the show was the 4-way eliminator match for the International Championship. Now, kind of surprised by this match in terms of, in a good way, of the showing by Mark Davis. And I saw a lot of support for him on social media with his presentation. When he joined the Don Callis family, I was like, I don't know. I didn't know how I feel about all this, but I think he really impressed me. I know he was going against 3 smaller guys, and I think that's the perfect booking for him to make it seem like he's this bigger beast, which he is a big guy, of course. But I think he stood out the most to me in this match. Who stood out the most to you, and what do you think of this 4-way match and how it ended?
Wow. I mean, like I was thinking the same thing with Mark Davis. I didn't realize he does look huge compared to these guys, but I didn't realize how big he actually was. And like, man, was he doing some crazy moves too. I mean, it was nuts. I mean, that one power driver he did.
Oh, brutal. It was so smooth too. It was a smooth, brutal one. He just plopped up OC like he was just like a wet noodle, and just dropped him right on his head. I think he gained so much from this match. I was bummed he beat my guy Mark Briscoe in this, and on paper you're like, Mark Davis, like of the Don Callis family, still questioning, might be considered the weakest link. But I think after last night, a lot of those comments or people's thoughts about him are totally changed. And people were saying like presented by, kind of like a Bam Bam Bigelow or something like this. Like I want maybe a different, maybe a singlet or a different look for him. But I think like, man, he really, I just can't get over how much he impressed me. Speedball Mike Bailey, of course, great seeing him in the ring, second time in AEW. just so impressive. I tweeted about this. I think he's just like a real life, like video game character.
You know, it's so funny because I said I was thinking the same thing. I feel like he's like somebody from like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, like straight out of like '92.
Right.
Like, I mean, but like, geez, him and Orange Cassidy when they squared off, man, you know, the cheers and like just them going at it. It just was amazing.
You know, I've been hard on OC the last few months, and I'm kind of coming back around to OC because of the not so big of a push that he and Silver Spoon that he's been giving. Now, going back to the comedic wrestling and being able to do great wrestling with all different styles, but I think I'm at where I like OC, where he's at this point not necessarily not going for titles, not giving, you know, free passes to world titles or other title shots just because his name's Orange Cassidy and he's from wherever, Wayne, whatever. I want him to earn his spots because that's kind of frustrated me where he was just kind of given all these opportunities. But the comedic aspect of Orange Cassidy, I can get behind and enjoy, like the pre-show at Revolution and this, and I am starting to like him more and more, even though I have been a little bit hard on my brother OC, my stepbrother OC over there. But Speedball is going to be a lot of fun to watch. I just can't believe he wrestles barefoot too, with all the stuff he does.
I know, right? And you were saying about the ending. I kind of thought it was like very like old school WWF. Like something Bruce Pritchard might have come up with. Like, you know, it just seemed like kind of odd, but I guess I'm okay with it, you know. It's usually something AEW doesn't really do.
Right.
So, yeah,
I think it's going to make for an awesome pay-per-view match. I think it's going to really elevate that match. Obviously, Kenny Omega can have a singles match with anybody, and he's going to have this trios match with, I mean, honestly, these three guys in the ring, I don't know if they've ever been in the ring together, all three of them. It's going to be quite the feat to see. Their styles are a lot of similarities, a lot of differences, and I'm really curious at how it's going to mesh together. You know, Kenny Omega being the champ, he is the biggest of all three of them, but the other two have such an awesome moveset. Like this one, I know there's only two matches. Well, three matches now officially for Dynasty. But this one could be one of the ones I'm most looking forward to the most. And hot off the press, someone's going to be there live.
Oh yeah, it's me. I just bought my tickets yesterday.
Oh, you already got the tickets too. Sweet.
Yeah. I'm going to take the train out. There's a train that leaves from where I live, goes right to Philly. So I was just decided yesterday, why not? Because I've never been to an AEW pay-per-view, and the way my schedule for work works out now, I'm off on Monday, so I can ride the train back on Monday. So it'll be pretty awesome.
Perfect. Now, shameless Philly plug. One of my favorite places to get food is the Reading Terminal Market right downtown there. So if you have time to go, either before the show or on Monday, Reading Terminal Market, I can give you some great recommendations. I salivate thinking about some of the places I love to go. Best Reuben I've ever had, ever. But jealous of that. Wish I can go to the Dynasty. I was there last year's Dynasty in St. Louis. But this match, I can't wait for these styles. Like Ricochet has been doing so much stuff. Like what I think would be funny is, I know the crowd's been chanting "You are bald." Is there's one time he comes out with a toupee on or something with hair.
Dude, that would be so good.
Just to like mess with the crowd. Like, you are bald, and he takes his hat off and he's got like, you know, fake hair or something on. just some silly gimmick like that. But there's no way Kenny's losing this match. You know, his first title defense. We'll hear from him next week on Dynamite, so I'm curious to see what he has to say about being booked with this one. But Speedball is already really impressing me. I love that he's being showcased already into the title picture. I don't think losing is definitely, three ways are great because you have chemistry, you have fun matches to watch, and it protects a lot of people too. It protects, Ricochet. Bobby puts in the chat, who takes the pin in this? I'm thinking Speedball is going to take the pin.
Oh, really?
I feel like Ricochet still needs to be protected, even though he did take the pin from Swerve, which is great in the right decision. And Speedball being so new to AEW, if he does take the pin from Kenny, I don't think that would hurt him at all, in my opinion. What about you?
I was thinking the opposite. I was thinking that Ricochet was going to take the pin. I'm thinking because of Speedball just being so new. And Ricochet's kind of the heel. I'm thinking Kenny Omega is going to pin Ricochet, but well, I guess we'll see. Do you know, have they ever wrestled before, Kenny and Ricochet, or was there any single matches between Speedball, Kenny, or I'm not sure.
Speedball and Kenny, I think I don't know. If anyone knows in the chat, that's a great question. Like, definitely these three together have not, but that is a good question. If they have had singles matches and stuff before. We're gonna move on to the next match, but first, if you haven't already got the limited edition Rizzler micro toy right here, you got one available. Only 500. Only 500 available. I can't believe they're doing this. I sent it to some of my friends, and I was like, and to mine, I'm like, you got to get this. Absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion, but it's funny. Like, I would rather have the Rizzler and the Costco guys than what WWE has been doing and rupturing your champ's eardrum and all that BS and shenanigans. But that's me. Ospreay and AR Fox, a match that was announced last minute, and I think given more time could have stole the show. These guys, AR Fox, have always been a huge fan of his ring move set. It's been impressive. Obviously, we know Ospreay can do no wrong, and every single time he's in the ring, as we've said before, the guy, it's like worth the price of admission, worth driving hours to see him live because he just truly amazes you. And to have a dance partner like AR Fox on kind of a last minute match to put on that match, I loved it. I love this. This was just pure entertainment. Another one of those "this is awesome" chants, and I was hoping for more out of this match in terms of the wrestling moves, because I was excited when these two guys, because this is the style of wrestling I really like in AEW, really got me into the more unique moves. The Rey Fenix, you all know, has been my favorite wrestler in AEW, and unfortunately he's not there anymore, but his move set and his creativity is what I love about AEW has to offer, and Ospreay and AR Fox are two of those that fit in that category as well. How'd you feel about this match? And definitely could have stole the show.
I mean, geez, these guys are pros. I mean, they're great. I was kind of shocked because it seemed like you just said, like, out of the blue, like it kind of didn't make any sense. Especially the way the card was set up. And then I was thinking it was towards the end of the night. I'm like, oh my gosh, it was like 9:50, and I'm like, oh, the women are only going to get like 10 minutes. I was a little sad because I thought they could have maybe like not did this match and give the women a little bit more match or a little bit more time. But
right.
They went over on the women's match, so which made me feel better about this match. But yeah, like you said, just as a match, as like a wrestling match, I mean, you can't go wrong. This was amazing.
So amazing. And I love that we're getting those seeds planted. Ospreay is definitely the heavily favored. We got a second contestant announced for the Owen Cup tournament, which they haven't announced when it's going to be, but he has very much been planting this seed. And I love this shot of both pay-per-views, because who knows what's going to happen at Dynasty with Ospreay, but All In. And like I just mentioned, worth the price admission. If we do see the stars are going to be shining for Ospreay main eventing at All In, I mean, Mind and I and Brent, we can take the train down to, we won't take the train, but we can head down to Texas with our cowboy boots and cowboy hats and watch Ospreay possibly be the new face of AEW. And that's going to be a big wrench, which we could talk about a little bit later in the show. I want to talk about the women's matches before we get into not the main event, but the world title scene and what's going on with the world title. But I'm really curious, like with Hangman and Osprey being the first two in the Owen Cup tournament. I'm curious of when they're going to first announce this match. When do you think the Owen Cup tournament's going to start? If you had to book and guess,
that's hard to say. Because I mean, All In is in July,
right?
Which it's gonna creep up. I mean, they could start it after Dynasty and maybe have like a match every week, but I can't remember how many. Do they usually have about do they have 16 guys or 8? I can't remember.
So I'll try to find Owen Cup tournament. But I remember last time with the Owen Cup tournament, the winners had at least a month in advance, and
that's right.
Which kind of helped hype up. So we're gonna have obviously Dynasty in April, Double or Nothing in May, and so I'm curious if there's gonna be anything in between in June. Like, is there gonna be another pay-per-view in June, or is there what they're gonna do with that? So the tournament. It was just a single elimination tournament.
Yeah.
So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, looks like 12.
12? Okay.
12 women. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 men. Okay, so it was single elimination. So they did qualifiers early April. I'm looking at last year's stuff. Qualifiers early April, and then the following week was the quarterfinals, then semifinals, and final was at Double or Nothing. Okay, so potentially we could have both finals. Oh, that was 2022. Both finals were at Double or Nothing, and so 23 they had finals on a Collision. 24 was on a Dynamite. So maybe they could lead into it starting after Double or Nothing, or excuse me, after Dynasty, all the D's, and then giving us the main event for Double or Nothing, which would be great. Oh wow, look at this! Straight from the graveyards of Tijuana. Mind Runner with a super chat party. Thank you, bro. I can't believe he's up and about. Now let's do this. Let's do might as well. Thank you, Mine. As we said, get well soon, brother. We can't wait to see you on that.
Yeah, dude.
We love you, bro. I'm glad you're doing well.
Miss you,
you're
man.
out kicking and around. And here Steven says no June pay-per-view. July is Forbidden Door. So Forbidden Door.
Oh yeah.
And
all in
1 month. So a lot going on there. Yeah, there you go. I think Steven, that's where Owen Cup tournament final Double or Nothing. I think that'd be a great thing to have that, because then that gives you time to build, and keeps the wrestlers healthy to really help sell those tickets and get that main event going for All In. Y'all In, excuse me. All right, I want to shift to the women's division. The shift to the women's division, the first match of the night, Mercedes Moné versus young Billy Starks. Now, I love the story with this one. Where's my photo here? Here we go. I love the build with this one. It was short build, but awesome result. And Billy looked like $1 million last night. I think we could easily say a star was born with Billy Starks last night versus Mercedes Moné. And definitely one of her best TBS championship matches with her reign versus Billy. Now, even though on paper she's young, but she is seasoned in the squared circle. But she showed up, and I think this was a lot of AEW fans maybe first time seeing her in the ring. And so I really was impressed by her. And personally, I don't follow Ring of Honor that much, but I'm so glad to see Billy Starks. I think this was a moment where she pretty much stamped her admission to AEW and sticking on AEW television, in my opinion. I think because her being on AEW TV and in the women's division is definitely needed now and welcomed. I think she earned her spot. I don't think it was like a tryout in a sense, but I think she really went all out and was smooth, it was clean. In a couple moments, obviously, I was a little like when she almost did the one winged angel type of move where I thought she was going to drop her on her head, but ended up getting right on her back. everything about it was great, and she busted her tail all match. Now, before I get your feedback on it, we got another super sticker from the other BR in the chat here.
By God, it's a super chat party.
Thank you, BR. We appreciate the support and love having you in the chat as always. We appreciate that. And Brent, give me your thoughts on this one right here.
You kind of just like you said almost everything that I was gonna say.
Echo it,
like,
because it's worth echoing.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I've seen Billy Starks wrestle in ROH live, and I thought she was good, and like everyone talks about her. I've never seen anything like out of this ordinary about her. Just like she was good, but man, like you said, like I put this made her. Like I wouldn't be surprised if this changes the outlook of the women's division on what they're going to do next because of how well this match went. I mean, it was so good. I mean, they like told a story in the ring like nobody's business. And like the ending was awesome the way it ended. And I mean, I'll say, Mercedes, she makes like just about anybody look good. I'm not saying that. I mean, Billy earned it, definitely. I mean, They both were awesome, but like time and time again, every match that Mercedes Moné has had, just about, I mean, has been spectacular. And like, I know a lot of people, some people are not fans of her or like are sick of her. I don't know. I'm loving it. I think she's making the TBS title like prestigious. I mean, it's been pretty prestigious. Jade had it forever.
For sure.
But whenever she loses that belt, which I think is going to be at All In, it's going to be a big deal. But Billy Starks, I can't wait to. I hope she just stays on the main roster now. I mean, wow.
I mean, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. She deserves to stay on the main roster, and I'm curious. Do you feel like I hate using the word hate, even though I use it twice? Do you feel like the dislikeness of Mercedes is because she's got the cocky and because she's a heel, or what do you think the reason being people are not necessarily on the Moné train? Like, is it because of that heel character that she's doing a good job, or what is your take on that?
It's so hard to say because she came in as a face and like it was a big deal when she came in, but then kind of like just dropped off. Like people just kind of were like, oh, like it didn't make any sense to me, but it might have been the booking. I'm not sure. But when she turned heel, I mean, I think she's a good heel. So I think people, I don't know if they're booing her because just to boo her, or they're booing her because they don't like her. I don't know, but if you watch her in the ring, for me, she makes me happy. So,
you're right. Much as some people might not think like, okay, even if you don't like her character, which I like her character, and I'm sure you do too. The cockiness, like she's playing that role to a T and perfectly. The cheesiness and bragging about the belts and just the cockiness walk, like she's knows what she's doing. And whether she gets the hate or the boos, it's all in good. It's all what's best for biz. And I agree with you, man. Every time she shows up in the ring, which she's had such a diverse amount of opponents, she's delivered. And it shows why she's the 4 belts Moné because of that. And having, this Billy Starks in the ring, who still is, pretty much a kid. I love this shot too. And you can see like the lower left there, just the smile on her face. And like, Billy's is just like genuine, so genuine there when they're announcing this match and, before the match, everyone, their names. But I think, Billy's got to stay in a division that's not as deep as we think it is. It's very good, but it's not as deep as we think it is. She's definitely someone that could be one of those like really red hot baby faces and get over. Give her almost like she's wearing that Bailey shirt, almost like a Bailey treatment with like colors and things, and like like a Willow treatment in a sense. And even if she does that kind of Willow type of thing, it's not going to take away from Willow, because Willow's her own woman, and she is there's no one like her. So Billy I think is a made woman now after that match, and really impressed a lot of people, and was almost my top performer of the night.
Yeah. They say, I read online that was her like 500th match. 500.
That's insane,
isn't it? And she's what you said, 19 or 20?
She's not even 21.
That's just, she's been like, then she was like 13. I think
that's a lot of abuse in the ring there.
Yeah.
The main event of this, we're still holding off for the Moxley Cope match after this, but we're gonna just keep the theme going to the women's division. Megan Bayne, who's been pushed as a total beast, and I am very impressed with the way of her presentation. And I think this was her best match. I mean, the Thunder match was really good, but the Beast versus Beast in terms of the Statlander, who's been essentially, other than Nyla Rose, the native Beast, but Statlander has been that, hoss of the backbone of the women's division for the longest time, and to go against Megan Bayne again, I think this match showed up. I loved like the trading of the suplexes and just the hard hitting and everything they did in and out of the ring. Like, they meshed so well together last night. I was so impressed, and I was so glad that they saved this for the main event. I was shocked that the Mox and Cope didn't, but when this was delivered in the way it happened, I was very, very impressed with this match. And of course, Timeless Tony on commentary just added that another level. And, we did not see this coming. Megan Bayne being in the title picture this quick. And so I'm very curious how it's going to go. I definitely cannot see Tony losing the title at Dynasty, and hoping not, because she's on Team SPD. But as I mentioned last week, like, she could be the new gatekeeper of the women's division, Megan Bayne. She could be this beast where you have to slay the giant to either keep your title or get to the title. And I think her chances with the title are going to come, but I don't think this soon. But this match was fantastic, man. Fantastic overall match for me.
Yeah, it was like after the Billy Starks match, like I was like, I don't know what can like beat this. But this was so close. I can't even determine which one I like better. It was so good. Like it first, like just like Monet, Statlander is like, you can put her anywhere and the match is gonna be great. And like sometimes, when you have two like beefy, bigger wrestlers, that it's sometimes hard for them to have a good match for some reason. But like,
no, I agree. Yeah,
these two killed it. I mean, it looks so good, and I think it was the right call to have Megan Bayne win, even though I'm a big Statlander fan. I see what's going on. I mean, like, I'm iffy on what they're doing. Like you just said, like you can't have Tony lose. She is like so hot right now. Like, yeah. Like you thought she was on fire before. Like it might be even bigger now. Like she's just like on top of her game. I mean, like everything she says, everything she does, like she is so good at what she does. It's nuts. But like all these women, the only thing that I would have liked to see here is, I don't know why they didn't do it, because they did it on Collision. I was thinking Thunder was going to come out and help too. When Penelope came out and they had her, kicked out, instead of kicking her out, why didn't you have Thunder run out and like chase her away or something like that? I mean, just because I'm just such a biased Thunder fan, and it only made sense with the story. Yeah, what they're doing here. It seems like they're, Tony, Stat, and Thunder, which insane team. Right? Like, oh my gosh, like if they're coming together, because even Tony said on when she was commentating, she was saying her friend Thunder, which was cool. I don't know Megan Bain, she got Penelope. Someone said I was Mariah May. That might be a good, third wheel there for them.
Yeah, let's have a 6-woman match.
Yeah.
As much as I would love Mariah May, I think to be added to that, I want Tony and Mariah. That was the clean break. That needed to be separate.
I agree.
Like for a while. So Megan, maybe they recruit just some random third person for a match of trios, or they just go the tag route. I would love the trios with, like you said, Tony, Thunder, Stat versus Megan, Penelope, and whomever. But if you do the tag route, I feel like given what we saw last night, you might not even get Tony in there. Thunder in there. You would probably get Tony and Stat because they were the most recent ones we saw on TV. But I would love a 6-woman match. I'm not sure if we've even had one on AEW, honestly. But yeah, Tony needs to protect it at all costs. I loved what you said. Like, she was hot before, but now I feel like is a whole nother level with the whole nother edginess of her promos in terms of just delivering so much more. You have to and I think she's one of those that, obviously her character can work with or without a belt, but with the belt, it's that much better. And some people don't need it, and I don't think she needs it, but I want her to have it because it just showcases. I feel like it elevates the women's division more, that she's the champ and she's constantly featured and she's constantly having these ridiculous over the top promos and beating down the Goliaths of the division. So I definitely think she's going to beat Megan Bain. A loss for Megan Bain, even though she's been pushed like an absolute beast, isn't necessarily going to hurt her, in my opinion. But I'm very anxious to see how this match is going to go because I was pretty surprised. I before she got kind of attacked Tony, I was like, with mine, we were discussing, I was like months away. Like the title picture for Megan Bain is months and months away. So, and recently, I don't want. Maybe I'll bring this up after you, but I want to dive into your hot take, or excuse me, booking by Brent. So this is going to be hot off the press for, we love talking about the women's division. So we're going to do a little booking by Brent. Hold on there. All right, man. Have at it. I have no idea what this is about. This is going to be a special segment, booking by Brent.
So what I really, was thinking about the Mercedes Moné, Billy Starks match, I want to know who produced that match. Because whoever produced it, I would want them producing most of the women's matches. I don't know if it was, what's her name? Jen Pepperman, I think, or, but why I say that, because it was just so well done. I would want to get people like, Kenny Omega. I know he had a lot to do with the women's division when it first started. I would get, if it's Jen Pepperman in there, I would use Thunder Rosa, her knowledge. Like the stuff she was doing in Mission Pro Wrestling, the stories that they were telling there with the women. I feel like she has really grown as just as a person in the wrestling world, and she knows what she's talking about. And Mission Pro really chose that. So I definitely use, those types of people if I was booking, get their input. But, we're talking about the world title picture, and we're saying, like, I really, like you were saying, I just don't know if pushing Mega Bain to the title right now, unless they have some kind of weird swerve or something that's going on at the pay-per-view, I would have used like a Goldberg tactic and just like, had her go through the whole roster. And then you're getting more women on TV too. So, have her like, and then make that a big deal. She's beat everybody until she gets that title, so have it slow build up every week. But I don't know why they're just jamming it real fast. I think they probably have some kind of plan for All In, and they need it now. But so that's the only problem I have with that. I don't know who I would have Tony Storm face if it wasn't Megan Bayne then. You know, I was kind of thinking about that. You know,
There's
it's
not
kind
a
of hard
lot
to,
of prevalent heels at the moment.
and I think maybe that's why they're doing that. So it's kind of hard to say. I would have built something else up, you know, and maybe have Megan Bayne interfere there. I don't know. But I'm sure it's going to be awesome, and they might just surprise us of what's going on there. But I kind of was thinking more of the TBS title picture here.
Yes,
because it's going to be really interesting to see what they're going to be doing for All In. Because you know, with Billy Starks there, you know, you and mine were talking about, you know, Athena showing up. You know, so what I would probably like to see is at Dynasty, I would have built up Thunder Rosa to take on Mercedes, okay, here at Dynasty. And then I would have had Thunder Rosa win. And then she would have been the first woman like she would have had both titles, you know, the first one to have the world and the TBS title, because I don't think anyone has done that yet. Held both of them, not at the same time, but you know, in their repertoire there. But I would have Mercedes versus Thunder, and then Thunder winning, and then Thunder going into All In Texas to take on Athena, because they're both from Texas, and they've had some banger matches on the Indies. And Thunder has always talked very highly of Athena, and I would probably like put Athena over at All In, because I would personally want Thunder to win, but just to get Athena up there because she deserves it, you know. That's probably what I would probably be thinking about. Booking wise, I would really like AEW to take a chance and have an all women show, like where Thunder was, or not Thunder. I'm thinking WCW. Geez, Rampage, which is kind of similar, but I would have that an hour, all women, TBS championship. It'd be on TBS. That's what I think. Those titles should just be defended, you know, TNT, TBS on the station that they're on, because they're always reversed.
I agree.
But keep the TBS title on TBS and keep it on Friday for the all women show, because they have so many great women wrestlers. Like, I was looking at the roster, it's nuts. And you have Ty Mello. She's able to wrestle now. You know, I'd like to see, you know, she was like huge before she left.
For sure.
You know, Anna Jay was like doing really well.
Yeah.
Hayter. That's it. Yeah. Jamie Hayter won her visa stuff, because that's why she hasn't been on TV. She's getting a new visa. You know,
better than an injury.
You know what? That's who I would have at All In. I would have Jamie. I totally forgot. Jamie Hayter versus Tony Storm at All In, and I'd have Jamie Hayter win. Maybe not. I don't know, but that'd be a great match, because Tony Storm took the belt away from Jamie Hayter.
You're right.
So I would turn
revenge.
I would make Jamie Hayter. I'd maybe turn her heel. She was a great heel with Britt Baker. You know, just have her like going on the edge there. But yeah, I would like to see. Now I don't think AEW is going to do an all women show, but I mean, to take a chance if they could. I was trying to look up ratings to see like what the average rating was of Collision or Rampage was on Fridays the last year, and I was trying to find out what is on, because it was actually on TNT. I was actually trying to see what's on there now. I've just noticed basketball. So it's college basketball. I don't know if it draws more. I couldn't get any kind of ratings. I wanted to see though. I'm like, whatever they got there now, if it's not doing well, throw on an all women's show. And then you could throw in the tag titles that you and mine have been talking about, for women. So
I think there's a lot to take in that booking by Brent there. I have a couple things like before we go back into last night's show. I feel like Well, first off, yes, for sure. The title that is branded the network should always be on the network only. But I feel like the TBS title should be shouldn't. I think they should change the TBS title to like an international title for women, because that to me is just, it would be better. It would be better for business. I feel like it would be a true secondary championship, in my opinion, such as like an intercontinental title, in WWE. So like the TNT in the men's division, I think it works for what it is, but I would like to see the TBS change into something, even if like calling it the international title instead of TBS, to me makes it seems more important, in my opinion. I would love for, maybe that's something we do, let's say in a couple weeks, a special segment. Let's fantasy book. We can get as many of our crew to book it. Fantasy book the All In card would be kind of a fun thing to do, because there's so many elements, and then we can cross compare when we get All In a few months of how close we were to fantasy booking it, given the landscape of it. But I think for Tony versus Megan Bain, you have it almost where Megan Bain is like knocked out, not like a clean pin. Like she takes what is Tony's move with in the corner with her bosoms?
The hip attack.
Hip attack. There we go. She gives like Bain like 10 hip attacks or something ridiculous, and it's like referee stoppage. It's like David Goliath with the slingshot, like constantly, getting the giant down. So I don't want to see. I think you protect Megan Bain by essentially having a knockout victory, and that's fine. Like she can come back on like a warpath versus whomever. So I would like to book that. I think Thunder versus Mercedes is very, very, very compelling. Going into All In, there's so much time in front of that. It's still, but she definitely needs to be in the title picture. I think Mercedes is still going to hold the title till All In. I agree. I think that is the case, and I think that's where she would lose it, because if you think of booking, like if you were Tony Khan and you have these names and you have Mercedes at this time, it maybe at All In, it's probably 350 plus days as the champ or whatever. She's going to have 20 title defenses, and she's finally going to find someone to go against. And even if it's like, what if they did a swerve where it's like Mercedes versus, mystery opponent, then it's Athena or it's whomever, So I think like you keep her champ till All In. The world title picture could be something like you mentioned. Yeah, Jamie Hayter heel would be really cool to do that, because I feel like you need a few more heels in the women's division. But a lot to digest. But like back to the card, talking about protecting people. Cope was protected in his loss once again, but this match to me was leaps and bounds better than the pay-per-view match. And I'm glad they got to run it back in an interesting fashion, a street fight. And I feel like, and no fault to these guys, I enjoyed their match at Revolution. However, when you have 3 5-star matches in a row, it's tough. No matter who you are in the main event, you're going after 3 5-star matches in 3 storylines, honestly, that have been like really played out for months and months and months, and it didn't really do them any too good on Revolution. However, I did enjoy the match, like I said, but last night's match was so much better than the pay-per-view, and I love the way it all panned out. There's so many questions I have with this one. Love the way it started. Loved all the typically I don't like shenanigans, but I'm glad there was shenanigans. And so I'm curious of where they go from this. But what are your thoughts on the street fight between Mox and Cope before we get in some of the gory stuff?
Yeah, I totally agree with what you were saying about this one being better than the pay-per-view. I thought this one started off a little kind of slow, and they were just Cope attacked him early, and kind of beat. I don't know. Sometimes I think that's a little boring to me. Just I'm like, oh, okay, just get in the ring. Like, come on. But anyway, but then it started getting really good. I still overall, I kind of think I I just want John Moxley to lose. I was like, I mean, I'm pretty sure that we're gonna get a new champion with Swerve at
You
in
think?
Philly. That's what I'm thinking.
So same question as before with Mercedes. Do you want Mox to lose because of? Well, I guess because why? Like, what are you? What is your fatigue with Mox at the moment?
I mean, I think everyone's just so tired of the Death Riders, you know, and it's just and the belt being in the briefcase, and like it seems like it's absent, and like I don't know, and so I was just like, oh, I just want Cope to win to get that belt, and then I was thinking maybe it would be Cope and Swerve, and then Swerve would take the belt, but then now I'm thinking that's kind of dumb because you know Dynasty's so close. Yeah, it's just I mean the match itself, like you know, I thought was good, but it's weird. So you think that John Moxley's going to beat Swerve?
See, I feel like so here's been my take for the last while with Mox. Like, it's more relevant for Mox to be like, where would Mox go if he did not have the title hostage? Like,
I know.
That's the thing. Like, I feel like the chase is so much better, especially with so many superstars out there calling their shots with MJF, Hangman. Now you have the Owen Cup tournament, and Cope is essentially pretty much done calling his shot, and all these people. So it's like, I feel like him, you know, at all costs protecting it, at all costs winning. I feel like it's that much more compelling of a story. And I feel like the story needs to be revamped in a sense. Like, the Death Riders as a whole are pretty badass. However, I've been saying this week in and week out, I want the Death Riders numbers to grow, to have more of an army to help protect Cope at all costs, because him being the one with the target is, to me, more fun for others to chase him. And so that's what I loved about the Cope chase and the Cope build, because he was able to eliminate one by one eventually. And then obviously last night it didn't pay off because they're all back finally. So I really do enjoy the chase of it in that sense. That's why I just don't think, as much as I want Swerve to be the champ, but then it's like, then what do you do with the Death Riders? You know, like what kind of vengeance are they going to go on? Now the thing I mentioned before was an interesting thing was, hey, it's okay, Finnegan. One thing I mentioned before was, like, if and when Moxley loses, like, what if he stole the title back and kept it hostage?
Oh yeah, I mean,
that could be one way to go about it too. Like, to keep the Death Riders relevant, like he has it hostage essentially.
And then you have to try to get it off of them.
Yeah, I don't know. So I think having the title, just going through these guys, and but I'm just wondering, is the Owen Cup tournament going to be the end all be all for the title change? Like, that could be the ultimate payoff. Or like, if you do have Swerve have the title, get the title at Dynasty, then what? Well, actually, before I have a kind of a interesting take, or something interesting I saw about that. But I mean, we won't show too much, but I can't believe we saw what we saw. And Scoot's in there, and you're talking about making it uncomfortable. And I showed it to some of my non-wrestling friends, some of the clips with this, and I was just like, man, this is just not for the faint heart. That's for sure. It was absolutely brutal. And fair warning, real quick, we're going to just show this one for a hot second. And I got to say, the referee did an outstanding job to keep this match alive. Wheeler Yuta tried to dislodge this insane weapon from Moxley's back, but the referee did such a great job. Got to give props to Paul Turner, senior referee, outstanding stuff there, and really great stuff. But I just couldn't believe that spot, and just it makes me cringe. Oh, what did you think of that?
Oh, yeah, especially when they were trying to pull it out, and like I thought they weren't going to get it off. I thought
didn't think so
this was going to end really bad. You know what I mean? And for a second, once they got it out, it was. But man, you saw the holes on the back of his back, and like that's nuts. Like,
I'm not going to show it again. I'm not going to. You got if anyone, we all saw it, and I'm not going to go and do that because it was just pretty gross. Ooh, nasty stuff that we saw.
No,
Man,
I
couldn't believe it.
I haven't really looked online or looked to see what people really thought of it, because I'm sure people were probably upset about it, or or want to complain about it. I thought it was a little extreme, but I guess I'm okay with it. Like it's wild. I mean, to see it, and I did have to turn my head away because it was wow, when that skin was being pulled.
Pulling at the skin. Oh my god, I had to turn away too. But it was on like TMZ and all like the Bleacher Report, like so. It
really?
Made such an outreach unintentionally. I don't think they expected him to be essentially impaled by it, which is very gross and strange. But I did like the way it ended. In terms of, obviously, I wanted Cope to win. He's on Team SPD for one, and I would love that. But as soon as I knew this wasn't the main event, I'm like, there's no way title's changing. There's no way at all, because you're gonna have a monumental moment like this, and it's not gonna be the main event. Just kind of placement of the match. But however, like Steven brought up a point, like do you think like this winter storm had anything to affect with Switchblade turning heel? Because we've been kind of I figured Switchblade might have had a little bit to play into this match, if he could have made it, probably. Now, if he would have cost him the match, I don't think so. I like the way it played out with the full Death Riders being back in full force. Does Christian Cage now refeud with Cope? How does that pan out? But one of the biggest things is, like, what do you make of Dax's actions? Like, what is your take on that? Because this is something I'm still a little confused about. Like, I don't know. I don't think Dax is going to turn heel. I don't know. Like, do you what is your take?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, the same thing. I was thinking more that, like, is he just mad that, like, they can't, put Death Riders down, that he thought Cope was it, and, like, maybe he's just frustrated in the moment, and, like, because I don't see FTR, like, breaking up, or, like, because, like, or turning heel. Like, I just think he might be just, like, so disgusted. You know what I thought maybe that, we were going to see Christian come down to help Cope. And then I thought maybe that, because they keep talking about how, you remember when they were trying to, like, they were going to form the team, and then I think Christian's the one who, like, backed out of it. So I thought maybe, like, we were going to get that. But this was surprising. But it's going to be interesting to see, to, make you want to tune in to see what, Dax is going to say, because he's always kind of well spoken and all about talking. So, like, I'm sure it's
on the stick.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to feel this way, and like you said, I don't think he's going to be turning heel or, like, leaving FTR. Or that would be silly.
I mean, there's no bigger and better true tag team than FTR and AEW at the moment. So to split them up would be the worst decision I think you could absolutely make, because name a better tag team that's, like, been a tag team their whole career pretty much, that's in AEW right now that's been featured. There isn't one. Although, I mean, I guess you could throw out
Private Party,
Top Flight and stuff like that, but, like, we haven't seen Private Party, and we haven't seen Young Bucks. We haven't seen anyone. The only tag team that's been featured that's been a true tag team as of late is been FTR. And so, like, Murder Machines, they're just a new tag team. Obviously the Hurt Syndicate is a new tag team. And so this tag team can't go. I'm hoping, as I've said all along, I want Rated FTR to dethrone the Trios champs. And so maybe they can refocus on that. I don't know where Cope, that's a good question. Like, where do you, Brent, see Cope going next? Like, what's next for Cope?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I think that they're going to continue this like group effort to try to take Mox out. You know, I think I think the whole thing is like they need to get that belt off of the Death Riders and back to AEW. So I think they're going to try to do anything they can, and I think Cope's going to still be involved with that, them and FTR. So I think they might have a little like spute here, but I think it's going to be fine.
Right. I want Cope is healthy and he still should be featured, and so I hope they can mend their differences and maybe go for the trios titles. Now, before we wrap up, this is going to be a dynasty, and wow, Christian and Dax versus Cope and Cash. That'd be interesting, Scoot. I don't want to see FTR break up. I personally do not want to see FTR break up. And I know Dax, yes, Brian, has been more singles matches, but I just don't. You can't break up one of the core tag teams in the industry. Like they've had each other's backs through thick and thin. World Championship here. I still think Moxley's gonna win as much as I personally want Strickland to win, Swerve. But this was an interesting thing I saw online. If Swerve does win, like, would you run this back versus Osprey? Like, interesting, right? I was like, you know what? After Hangman announced that he was going to be in the tournament, I was like, ooh, I don't know, man. Like, there's so many things it's making me second guess stuff. Like, personally, at one moment, I'm like, I want Osprey to main event All In after he wins the tournament. And then I'm like, another point when I saw this, I'm like, shoot, man, Swerve versus Hangman has been one of the best feuds in AEW's history. Like, if this main event at All In, that'd be another thing. But I think it would be hard to. It would, but it wouldn't. Put Hangman back on heel aspects, or if Swerve turns, I don't know who would be heel because Hangman has been leaning more towards babyface. But Swerve, Hangman, Osprey, all technically baby faces at the moment. So you really want one of those guys to go against the disgusting heels. So that's why I think Moxley keeps it through till All In hostage, and then one of the tournament winner is the one who gets the ultimate payoff with it. So what's your take?
I mean, all three of those guys like have that many like people that you want champion, because I'd want any three of those guys to have the belt. Like, I couldn't even pick which one I want.
You're right.
Because I've been talking about how I think Hangman should have the belt. But geez, so should Osprey. And like Swerve, when he was champ, I loved it. So like any three of those guys, and like what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Because like if Swerve wins here and goes in like All In and say Osprey, I mean, that'd be a great match.
Sure.
I mean, or Hangman again, that'd be a great match. But like, it's more like you said, you need that dirty heel, and like I want him to lose the belt so bad I can wait until All In. But
right,
I think that would be perfect. I think that makes sense. Now, who's it going to be out of those three? I mean, geez, oh man, it's going to be a surprise. It's going to be awesome.
I mean there could be more than just those three, because
that could be two.
It could be Darby Allin could be thrown in there.
I mean,
we don't know.
Even like Kenny Omega is like, even though he has the international championship, but like he's another guy that could be world champion, right. Because I mean, to think about all these like top players that like are really hot, I think right now in the world, it's just so awesome. I love it.
May, June, July. So if Swerve wins, like I don't want hot potato with I don't like hot potatoes with titles.
Yeah.
So Swerve winning here in the beginning of April, you have a lot of heels that are kind of hinting at trying to get the belt. MJF, potential heel turn of Jay White. Right. And so like I feel like there's more baby faces coming after this title than heels. And so if Swerve does win, then he loses at, I think the world title needs to change hands at All In, period, because it's your stadium show, it's your marquee show. And so that's why I'm all for waiting with it. But that's something I keep going back and forth on. I think we're gonna Mox is going to be the champ going into that. To piggyback on, actually, let me go to this one real quick. You talked about an all women's show real quick. Like, I think this could have been an opportunity to test the waters because you have an hour split. And so you could have done a all women's hour. And granted, it wouldn't really be a true litmus test because of the placement of the show, because this is just horrible in my opinion of having to have to do this after NCAA tournament. But maybe they get to piggyback on some of those non-casual or casual viewers. But I feel like that could have been a litmus test of testing out an all women's show if you were able to do that for a split show. Now, I don't see a 2-hour block or anything, but you mentioned like an hour, like an old, like we used to see in Rampage and things like that. So if you ever are able to do like a split show like they're doing, I think that would be an opportunity to test it out. And really just why not? Like gauge the waters just to see. But here is what we got in store for the double collision, the split collision. A lot at stake. And it looks like, 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Is that 13 points that are available for collision? Jeez. For our draft. Looking forward to a lot of these matches. I'm glad a lot of the stars were able to make it into town given the weather circumstances. But going back to our draft standings, with that many points at stake, anything could change, man. This is where we're at after Dynamite. We'll see where we're at with after Collision. But it is a marathon, not a sprint. Now, I got mine runners and I put mine on. Before I show the top performer, who was your top performer of Dynamite last night?
I think I'm going to have to say Billy Starks.
Okay. All right. That was going to be my runner-up, but I did Megan Bain for SPD. Mine runner did Ricochet. Aha! So, so it's funny. I saw someone tweet. I wish I thought of that, but last night they were in Oma. Aha!
Oh man, that's great.
But he should have got on the mic and did a promo and done that. That would have been hilarious on that. But Megan Bain, my performer, mine runners, Ricochet, yours, Billy Starks, all three really showed up. And lately it's not about wins or losses. It's about what we see out of the talent, and really did show up. So that is a great top performer for you. All right, guys. Brent, thank you so much for jumping in the saddle. It's great having you. Everyone else, thank you for in the chat. Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon, and enjoy Collision. Join us. I'll be recording a Collision Control Center probably Monday morning. It'll be released since we got the double split, or maybe I'll do 2 Collision Control Centers. But stay tuned for that, and we'll see you very soon, everyone. Thanks for coming out. Love you all.